Okay, next project that we're going to do, and again, last one for the grading period, we're going to be making a wall pocket. And some of you guys may have seen a few of them in the classroom on the walls. If not, I'll be glad to show you when we go back in there. It's just a hanging little pocket that we make over a newspaper mold. The back of it's flat and it hangs up against the wall. You can put utensils in the kitchen, you can put paintbrushes, whatever you want, flowers, anything can go in there. So what we're going to do, first of all, you start off with your slab of clay. I used a slab roller and rolled this to 1/4 inch thick, just kind of like we did with the drape mold. So I've got my slab right here, and you probably need a decent sized slab, at least like this, to make the right size. Now as far as this goes, we're going to say the smallest dimensions it can be. We'll say no smaller than like your back pocket on your jeans. So kind of give you an idea, that's the smallest it can be. Okay, so you've got your slab. Now what you're going to do is take some newspaper and we're going to wad it up kind of in a pocket shape. And I've got some already sort of wadded up here, and I'm just going to kind of fold this over. The top part I'm going to try to do somewhat neat so that it doesn't make a lot of wrinkles up against the clay. And you can go back and smooth these out some, but try not to have to do that. Okay. Then you want to get some masking tape and kind of tape it in shape. And I've got masking tape in the back of the classroom in the wooden drawers, up on the top right drawer, and newspapers back over there in the corner on the counter. Okay, so I've kind of got a little mold I can use here now. I'm going to take my slab. Let's see, I may need to squish it down just a hair. I'm going to cut this into 2 pieces.
That was a really straight line.
Okay, and then I'm going to put my mold in place where I want it. Let's see. I'm going to do right here. I'm going to take my other piece, kind of lay it over the top, make sure it fits okay. Okay, can you see how it's starting to form a pocket now? This end's going to be open right here, and then this part will be put together. Okay, so once I kind of figure out how it's going to go, then I can cut it into the shape I want. Now you can do just a regular pocket shape. I've had people make them before that look like a Christmas stocking. You can make them kind of like long and narrow if you want to, or they can be wider. Either way is fine. So I'm just going to go kind of with the traditional pocket shape. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. It's not perfect on the edge, but I'll go back and fix that later. Okay, so now that I can kind of see where it's going to go, I'm going to score and slip these 2 pieces together. Now as far as the mold goes, the good thing about a newspaper mold is you don't have to worry about removing it because it's flexible. So it's not like a hard mold that you can't leave the clay on, because with a hard mold, when the clay starts drying, it shrinks and the mold's there and it cracks. But with this, it's flexible, it's got some give to it. As long as you don't make the clay like super duper tight, you're good. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is use this wood tool to score the edges where I'm going to attach them. Make sure you do that good, and make sure you do it deep enough so that it doesn't come apart. And then on the other piece, I'm going to make sure to score those edges as well. Now one thing you want to remember to do is make some kind of hanging mechanism for this, because if you don't, it's kind of useless. So the easiest way to do it is to put some holes in the corners, and that way they can, you can run some string through there and hang it up. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. Or you can make like a big kind of like hook area in the middle to hang it, like on a nail if you want to. Either way is fine, but it needs some kind of hanging mechanism, or otherwise it'll be kind of useless. Okay, so I'm going to put that back in place. I've got my pieces scored, then I'm going to add some slip. Make sure that you're putting enough slip on there, because if you don't, it's not going to stick very good. Okay, now I'm going to take this piece and lay it back over the top. Kind of press it into place. You could actually use your fingerprints as part of the design around the edge if you want to. That's something I've done before with this as well. I'm going to do that, kind of, like I said, get it in place. Make sure it's got a little bit of give and it's not super duper tight. That way you can avoid it cracking. And then I'll go back and kind of smooth down around the edge. If I need to trim it again, I can. But I'm just going to use my fingers and kind of smooth it together, blend it. You can also use a sponge to get out any cracks. So now I've got kind of a basic pocket. Now another thing you need to pay attention to, remember craftsmanship, so make sure that your edges are nice and smooth and they're not rough or cracked. Take the time to smooth those out. And remember to make your pocket big enough for whatever you're going to use it for. Some people are leaving the openings too narrow and they're kind of rendered useless. I like to make these and use them for planters. They make good like hanging planters. So if you do that, obviously you want to leave a big enough pocket to put a plant in. Okay, I'm going to smooth out this edge too. Okay, I'm going to make sure I make the holes. Instead of using the sharp end of the needle tool, I'm actually going to use the blunt end. And don't put it too close to the edge, but that way it makes a nice big hole and you don't have to worry about it shrinking up too tiny once it's dry, because it will do that. Okay. Alright, so now I've got the basic shape. There's a little dent there. Looks pretty good, but the next thing I need to do is make sure that I do something creative with it. Okay, so there's all kinds of stuff you could do. You could stamp a design into it. You could cut out pieces and applique them onto the front, score and slip. You could paint it with underglaze and scratch a design into it, sgraffito, just like we did with the Greek coil pot. There's a lot of different things you can do, but you need to have some kind of decoration. The one thing I really like to do with these, now I don't expect you to do it, but if you want to, you can. I like to make faces on them. And the reason why is because if I'm going to put a plant in this, then it looks like a face, and the plant's like the hair coming out, and it's kind of a cool use for that. So I'm just going to do a real quick face on here. Doesn't have to be realistic, you can have fun with it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of clay for the nose. I kind of pressed in where I want the eyes to go. Like I said, this is an option, you don't have to do this, but if you want to, you can. Just want to show you one idea. And it can be cartoony, it can be realistic, however you want to do it's fine. Sculpt some nostrils on there. And I can go back and carve into this a little bit too once it's leather hard to kind of sharpen up the details some if I want to. For now, I'm just going to do kind of the basic structure for this demonstration. Get some eyes. Like I said, if you were to put a plant in this, the plant would form the hair. So I'm going to score and slip those on there. So with this, again, you don't have to remove the paper. You can leave it in place. When it's dry, you can slide it out, or if it's too hard to slide out, you can just leave it in place because it'll burn away in the kiln and you don't have to worry about that. Just gonna use this brush to kind of smooth over. Do the other one, roughly in the same spot. Kind of pinch those edges down. Okay, so now you can tell the face is starting to kind of shape up. This is where the eyebrows are going to go. On point. I don't know if I have time to do on point eyebrows right now. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put the mouth on. So it's going to go right in here. I roll a coil to make the lips. And again, I'll go back and make this look better once I get kind of the basic details on here. I don't know. I haven't even gotten that far yet. What do you think?
Well, I mean, depends on what kind of plant you got.
True. Smooth over this. Now I'll go back and, like I said, add details, but some other things you could do if you wanted to. You could make it like sticking its tongue out, you know, give it kind of a whimsical look, something like that. Make it interesting. Okay, thank you. So here's the finished product. Well, somewhat finished. You can kind of tell where it's going from here.
Looks like a bill. He can be a boy.
Anyway, like I said, I'll go back and add detail, but for now, that's kind of your basic wall pocket, and you just let it dry and go from there. Any questions? All right, thank you.